So as you know, I am Yang Gang. And I'm like still in like a mourning period of like, dang, he's really gone, isn't he? I mean, he's not gone, obviously. He's not dead. He's probably going to run in 2024.
Right.
But
for 2020, the dream is over.
For me, yes.
Yeah.
I don't deny the dream of Bernie. However, I will say that it is a very uphill battle. And I'm not very optimistic about it. The only person I felt optimistic about was Yang.
Okay. What do you mean by optimistic?
Well, like solutions that actually, and this is where a lot of the probably our disagreement is going to occur, but solutions that are actually going to pass through Congress, or at least have like a pragmatic reasoning for being able to work with.
No, I mean, that's completely fair. I don't think we'd disagree as much as you think we would on that.
Sure. And so this is like, especially I kind of fell off of social media after Yang dropped out, because I was like, let me just take a break, because I was getting pretty addicted to Twitter, just like, and you know how rabid the Yang Gang is on Twitter.
Oh yeah. And Reddit and
everywhere. But Facebook much less so, it seems. But, although they did steal a Trump page, which was kind of
the funny. Yang Gang did?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. Hijacked it?
Yeah, so I guess like one of the admins of that, like I think the page was called Friends of Donald Trump. And then they changed, like someone who was an admin became Yang Gang from being a Trump supporter.
Okay.
And changed it to Friends Who Know Yang Beats Donald Trump. And people got very mad, and it probably wasn't very humanity first of them, but it was still really funny.
That was so not math of you, bro.
Yeah, I know. And I fully acknowledge the cultiness of Yang, or at least the Yang Gang. I feel like Yang himself is probably just like, y'all need to calm down over there. But he's a perfectly normal human. That's but I think whenever we kind of initially like sparked conversations again was because we got into an argument on Facebook. And I feel like maybe not what you believe, and that's also kind of because of a lot of nuances lost on social media, but like it seems like the Bernie, I guess Bernie bro has become a derogatory term now for some reason. But burners, I guess, is that burners feel like I get more of it's like a rebellious motivation for it rather than like I don't know, like, 'cause what's going to happen once he gets elected, if he gets elected, like, does he just like, all right, healthcare, just throw it right into the thing?
Well, I
like,
guess from what I've been reading, it's marijuana legislation that's going to be the big executive order that's going through.
That's
day
fine.
one.
That's fine. And he can do that. I mean, Yang was going to do that too. So
right. I mean, that's not by any means exclusive to Bernie Sanders.
Sure.
Yeah. So, can you rephrase that?
Right.
So
the rebellious, like there's a rebel, or like, you know, fuck the police sort of. I mean, in general, fuck the police, but I mean, fight the power sort of thing. That
is specific to Bernie Sanders in the movement?
Yeah, I feel like burners are kind of more in the like burn it all down, no pun intended.
I feel like that was a little intended, but
it was. I intend all my puns.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, sure. I think that a lot of people are attracted to him because he's the anti-establishment Democrat candidate, you know, especially with his...
The one with a chance.
Right, yeah. Well, even, I mean...
I don't think Gabbard has a chance at this point.
Who?
Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah. She's weird, man. She is a hodgepodge of strange.
She seems like a normal human being as a person.
Yeah.
But then if you like dig into her policies, it's like, wait a second, some of these don't line up. But
really Tulsi Gabbard's bizarre. Especially like her ties with like Modi from India. And a lot of that hyper reactionary right-wing trends that are happening in India.
Sure.
Like that is her connections to that are really unsettling. But I don't want to go too much down on the Tulsi Gabbard road. There's things I like about her, and there's a lot of things I'm like, I just don't know. And she's said some things about LGBT rights that are just like, I just can't. Like,
sure.
But no, you're right. You're when you said it does seem kind of like just a person, with all their contradictory beliefs kind of muddled together. Like that seems very much like Tulsi Gabbard. But yeah, in terms of mainstream candidates that have a chance, I mean, he's clearly the front runner.
He is
now.
Unless you're talking to like CNN or MSNBC, then then it's Pete Buttigieg, obviously.
And then it's 2020 Democratic candidate is searching.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. I can't comment too much on the. I do know plenty of people that are very active with the Bernie Sanders campaign, and I do some things, and I've donated. Mostly, I donate.
Right.
But, in terms of like interacting with the Bernie Sanders.
Also a cult. I called Yang a cult.
Yeah, cult. Yeah, sure. I don't, I don't have a whole lot of. I'm not very in the know, I guess, with that kind of thing. Like there are memes that would be lost on me even from. Sure. And my support of Bernie Sanders is much more sterile, I think, than a lot of other people's. Like, I don't really particularly care about Bernie Sanders as a I mean, he seems like a perfectly decent person in the same way that Andrew Yang seems like a
little too angry.
He's pretty angry.
Sanders is I mean, he's had a long time to like be behind the scenes and see all this stuff and be angry about it. So I get it. But also it's like, I know.
Yeah, I'm pretty angry too when it comes to politics, though. So
right.
That's a mood for me.
Sure.
But but all that aside is, if there were a politician that had espoused the same things as Bernie Sanders and then something that he doesn't, like he's been relatively like, I don't want to, this is a tough thing to talk about. Understand I'm kind of walking on eggshells with saying this because it is a hard thing to talk about being from the social stratosphere that I am from.
Right. Yeah.
But he could stand to be, to champion certain. Like, I would love to see a trans rights candidate, I guess. Sure. I would love to see a candidate that is more vocal about that and less implicit. And now, Bernie Sanders, part of Medicare for All is going to include surgeries for gender reassignment and stuff like that. And that's really important and great. And in that sense, but if there was a candidate that espoused everything that Bernie Sanders espoused, then was, also, was very visible about their support for some of these very important, specifically now kind of, because trans rights are kind of reaching an apex right now where there's a lot of visibility to that. To that cause, and there hasn't been, and they've been extremely invisible up to this point. So having a candidate that is very open about that, I think would be really great. And I would totally, in a heartbeat, put my support into that candidate.
Right.
But for me, it's always just going to be who I vote for, and who I support, and who I will stand for, if you want to if you want to use that language, is going to be the candidate that is closest to what I think is, you know, the correct positions. And that's just what Bernie Sanders is right now. From my point of view.
And I feel like, so I guess it gets to a broader sort of philosophy about what government is supposed to do. And so it's like you have the more like libertarian versus authoritarian spectrum, if you will.
Yeah, the graph, the four quadrant or four quadrants.
It's a great meme though.
It's a wonderful meme. I've thoroughly enjoyed those memes. I think it's pretty shallow explanation of political beliefs, but it's really funny.
And some of them are really on point. But
I saw one that was literally just, loss.
Yes,
it was just loss, and that was the political spectrum.
There's not like any connection to the political spectrum. It's just loss. But I do think that one of my major, I guess, gripes is that I'm an immigrant.
Yeah,
I'm not shy about that. I was born in Venezuela. I've been here on DACA for a while now, working on filling out my green card. Sucks. I just got married, but for now I'm still on DACA. I'm still technically undocumented.
Right.
And it's not just like the immigration thing, which it is a big immigration thing, but like, I think that people don't understand what it means to be dependent on the government to like have their shit together. Because so often, most of the time they do not.
What can you elaborate?
So at least on immigration bases, it's like you send in a thing that's really important to your life and you need documents very soon. Yeah. And they're like, hey, we'll give you your green card in like 9 months.
Yeah.
Which is like, babies are born in that time.
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, I think there's no loss of literature on just how inefficient bureaucracy can be in that regard.
Right. And so if you have things like Medicare for all, you have to have the infrastructure in place for that first before you try to just abolish private insurance, which is like, yes, private insurance is a racket. I spent a lot of last year being immersed in insurance stuff, and then it turned out to be some sort of scam. So, and so I kind of know insurance pretty well. And so insurance is a racket. It's totally
it's a middleman.
Awful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is what we have right now. And to expect the government working as it is right now to jump in, I don't trust that government with my healthcare.
Yeah. So that's fair. I think when we talk about the government, we need to keep from treating it like allowing it to be too abstract, because a government, can be anything. We have local governments. We have, we have governments kind of like going all the way up to the top, and it's, there are things in Oklahoma where, when I lived in California. I definitely
don't trust that government with my healthcare.
Right. Yeah.
Or really with anything, but
the $250,000 that they spent on the new logo. The new Oklahoma logo or what? I don't even know what I'm talking like. I don't really know what that is supposed to be for, but like clearly what the hell, what is that really the best use of our money? It's very, very, it's exhausting. It's draining, to have to care about that. But, so what I mean by not letting it be too abstract government in its simplest form is governance, and you could have a group of people that were, online in a forum, and then you will naturally get, your moderators and admins and blah, blah, blah. And you've created a form of governance, it doesn't need to be too much more abstract than that, because when we're talking about bureaucracy, which is what we're talking about here, we're talking about the pace at which these things, that is variable, like it doesn't have to be one way.
Sure.
And if that is a problem, then that problem needs to be addressed. And, like you can treat that as its own individual problem, and you should. And so the way I see it is like, yes, you're right. If we were to just funnel Medicare for all day one right now, that could lead to some very big problems without a lack of preparation. But the Medicare for all, the bill that is written by Bernie Sanders, is not that. And it is not a day one pivot, There is a plan. It is an incremental plan. I don't know it frontwards and backwards, so I can't just like tell you all the ways in which.
And I don't either. So
right.
And hardly anyone really does, other than like actual staffers for senators, because I'm sure the senators themselves don't give a damn. But the staffers have probably read the whole thing,
sure,
at least as a unit together.
But I know enough about it to say it, or at least at one point I did know or have read that how it will be implemented, and it is not just, all right, we have Medicare for all now, and that's the same, and hopefully this is something that, because this ties a little bit to the conversations we've had like on Facebook and stuff, like with immigration reform, I very much am, if we're talking about long-term goals, if we're talking about like what an ideal society would be, then yes, I'm 100% open borders, across the world, open borders. Do I think that right now we open our borders? That's without preparing. That's a recipe for intense problems, So I'm not so idealistic. I can't see that, I can't see the forest for the trees. So
yes. And I actually, we keep doing this where we think we have a disagreement, and then you say some things and I'm like, oh yeah, we agree on things a lot more than I thought. I do have like an ideal for society, which is fully automated luxury gay space communism. Or the way that I grew up with it, knowing it before that became a meme. This one version of it called the Venus Project. Have you heard of the Venus Project?
I don't know. Maybe I can't tell.
It was in like the Zeitgeist documentaries.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, in like
that's a throwback.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the first one is like, edgy conspiracy theory crap. But then like the two documentaries that came out after that, still the same guy, but he like gradually, toned it down and was like, hey, money is a lie and we could make perfect society.
Right.
Which is like, I got exposed to that at kind of pivotal age, like 15 onto adulthood as they like kept coming out.
Right.
And this guy, Jacques Fresco, who's dead now, he was a futurist, and he kind of was like, well, if I were to just restructure society, how would that work? And so it would be like technology first, and using automation and AI to manage resources so that we can distribute everything equally and have, a beautiful communist utopia.
So the Venus Project is how you knew that like Star Trek socialism is how
right
that was used to, that how I used to know
sans
that.
the fascism, I guess.
Say what now?
Sans the fascism.
Sans the fascism. Yeah. I've watched a little bit of Star Trek.
I've only recently been informed that the Starfleet in Star Trek is fascist, and I haven't. I wish I knew more about Star Trek. That's a part of my nerd cred I need to keep up.
Right. Same. I've watched enough. I've watched a handful of episodes independently, but I've never binge watched.
It's a lot of cheese.
It's so cheesy,
especially nowadays.
It's so cheesy. It's there's a lot that's good about Star Trek, and I like Star Trek just fine, but it is very cheesy.
But other than that, the post scarcity socialism is, and I guess that's how a lot of people also thought about it, like the very chrome future that people painted in the 60s.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know. I think in the same vein that the Venus Project would have all of these materials and stuff, like how would this work? How would this work? And it would be all of this idealistic, like this is how this would work, and this is what people would do, and people would be learning all the time. Like there wouldn't be jail so much as it would be like therapy, and it would like all that stuff, which is like taking all of the research about humans and just applying it to society like we should have been doing for a long time. Mm-hmm. But the downside is that they never really have any, like, there's like the ideal way over there in the future, and then there's like right now, and then everything in between is a blur. Yeah,
I mean, there's, I'm pretty into read. It's probably my most time consuming hobby I have is, I really, really like critical theory, and I like reading about there are any kind of topic, all sorts of topics with regards to how society should look, how what critiques of what is going on, what our society is currently modeling, why it got this way, how we can move to something different. These are things that I spend a lot of time thinking about, and I've read a lot about it. I like reading about it.
Let's talk about it.
This is my jam. Let's talk about it. But the majority of the stuff that in a broad scheme, the majority of what people are talking about in critical theory is not what are we trying to get to. It's how do we get there? Like you said, the money is a lie. The money money is a scam thing. Like that is not a brand new thought. Like there are a lot of people that have created models for societies that are far more equitable than our own, and even some that are like resemble a lot of things that we're very used to and very familiar with, but do it in such a way as to be vastly more humane than what we currently have. And I think there is everyone kind of not everyone, I don't want to speak in too generally, but a lot of people feel this kind of impulse that, okay, society at one point in time really, really just needed to be very productive, like we didn't have enough of the things that we need to survive as a whole. And so, in that sense, capitalism makes a great deal of sense. It is very, very good at producing.
Yes.
And now I think we all like kind of just as a general consciousness have began to realize, okay, we're really, really, really productive, but why are we being productive? What is this productivity aimed towards? And so now I think there is kind of like, well, how do we not only move to something that is, make this productivity worth something, but how do we get from where we are right now, which is looking more and more cataclysmic every day, to a point where, we can actually use this infrastructure of productivity in a way that helps everyone, not just the people sitting at the very top. So,
there's a lot of momentum, and it's really hard to like push this ship and like steer the ship and make it turn.
Yes.
And we're very clearly heading towards an iceberg.
Yes.
But now, like, we have to convince the captain that there is an iceberg first. Like, that's the weird part that we've gotten to now. But like,
yeah, that's a whole thing. Yeah. And that's, I mean, just the fact that we can talk about a system that requires infinite, I mean, room to expand, infinite resources to like natural resources. Like, obviously this can't continue the way it's going. We have to alter it somehow.
Right. And the momentum is such that like we're many generations in to where like you and I grew up in this and we're just able to start questioning the premise. But like our parents, their parents, and their parents like maybe might have been questioning the premise, but like we're still here.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, they're still, the 60s obviously had a big psychedelic movement and we're questioning authority that way, but like,
yeah,
it didn't quite, turn the ship around, and then the 80s happened and just wrecked everything.
I would recommend a book to you and to whoever is interested in this kind of stuff. Since you mentioned the 60s, oh my God, what is the name of that book? Crap. Hang on a second. I got my phone here. But it's by a guy named Mark Fisher, who is someone I am very fond of in terms of his social criticisms.
Yeah.
He's really...
The name does ring a bell. Yeah,
he is best known for two books, Capitalist Realism and Ghosts of My Life. And one is about, the first one is about how the premise is stated right at the beginning of the book that it's easier for us to imagine the end of the world than it is the end of capitalism, and kind of then expands upon just the ways in which capitalism is really, really, really good at absorbing criticisms of it, or absorbing its own contradictions. And it's just really great read. Then the second one, Ghosts of My Life, is less about economics and more about kind of like social trends, because he was a blogger that talked a lot about music in the UK, specifically jungle, and he talks about in that book how he gets into like some different theorists like Derrida and that stuff, gets kind of dry, but he talks about how generally we are enamored with the past nowadays. Like we are so enamored with the past that our own visions of the future are just borrowed from previous visions of the past. Like think about that game, that Cyberpunk game that's coming out. Like that is the 80s version of the future. We don't have our own version of the future anymore. And it talks about that our imagination for what the future could be is pretty much dead. And that that's a really profound problem, because it in some ways it suggests that we don't have a model anymore for what the future might look like realistically from this point. Yeah. And that's very, relevant to what we were talking about. But the third book, and this is one that he didn't finish. He died while he was writing it. I think it's called Acid Communism. Let me double check.
I feel like his his book titles got like even more broad and like crazy over time.
It seems like when he started is like, I'm going to make this like so that academia will accept me, and then he's like, nah. No point. I think it's acid.
Because okay, acid communism.
Acid communism, yeah. And so I read what little of that exists, and it is basically a thought experiment as to what if the social revolution, the cultural revolution, the cultural revolution of the 60s had accomplished what it set out to accomplish.
Yeah.
And it's basically a thought experiment talking about how there was so much revolutionary potential during that time, and there was so much there was in so many ways the ingredients seemed right at that time, but it didn't pan out. So I would recommend looking that guy up for anyone who's interested in this kind of stuff. He's a very deep thinker.
Yeah. What going on that thought? What does the future look like? Because right now we pretty much only have like these gestures of what the future looks like from like, this is the 60s future. This is the 70s future. This is the 80s future.
Yeah.
But we don't have like a 2000s future because it just kind of emulates like, that reminds me of this book that like, and that kind of goes into kind of a broader thing in that it seems like, postmodernism and metamodernism has like kept us from getting past something.
Sure.
Because now new things aren't as new anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think there is that we, how many times have you heard like the phrase where someone's like, I can't believe it's the future now and we don't have jetpacks, something along those lines. Like, that's kind of an interesting thought, though. It's like we do view ourselves as being in the future now, in some ways. Like we see this like technological architecture that we have, and it's just like, how is this what we have? How is this? We have got these smartphones and this great,
potential
through technology. Yeah, exactly. Potential through technology to like create something that seems like it ought to just naturally occur, but it hasn't, that this kind of like utopian type progression.
I think it might be a contradiction between the idealized progress that we all kind of have had, but then we've also been sort of trained to be complacent by capitalism, the culture of capitalism, so that like once the future came and went, we realized that we were the ones who were supposed to bring it into reality, but we didn't because we were okay with what we had.
Yeah. There is, especially in the United States, but I mean, especially in the United States, let me rephrase it, compared to like a place like France where there is a lot of protest culture. But yeah, especially in the United States, like we do seem very much like carved into the path of least resistance, and it is one of those things. It's like, I don't want to be too like damning of people because I generally think condemning people for a behavior is less interesting to me than
incentives are more compelling to
understanding people why it is that way, and I mean, certainly I'm a very American person, my culture is American. I don't view myself as anything else other than that. I wouldn't. Right. Yeah. And I wouldn't claim to be free of the types of mental traps that I see other people getting into. But it is one of those things. It's like, why does it seem to take catastrophic events or crises, to compel us towards action? And I don't have a very clean answer to that or theory.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's like we're comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, we can say that like the world is in crisis right now, but like you and I
aren't
have
in crisis, in a
like,
direct crisis.
Right. We're not like, there's not a lion coming to eat us right now. We are in a house with walls.
Yeah.
You just ate before coming here. I ate when I got home. We don't have quote unquote real problems. We do have problems.
Yeah. And it's one of those things also that like it isn't a scarcity problem. It probably never will be again.
Yeah.
Like scarcity is not the problem.
Yeah.
The problem, because that is the precedent that which we can set. We look to the past and when people were acted out, they don't have food. They don't have housing. They don't have clean water. And now, not to say that everyone in America has all those things.
Right.
Clearly not. Mm-hmm. But it is there. It does exist. Mm-hmm. We could house everyone if we wanted to.
Yeah.
We could feed everyone if we wanted to. Mm-hmm. The problem is not that the resources are scarce. Mm-hmm. It's that our distribution model doesn't cover everyone. I mean, it's a buy-in system. So
and the way in was bought out like generations ago. There's no way in now.
Well, it's getting harder and harder. To find your way in. And I think that we can't look at the past as being a model for what future action is going to have to look like, because it's not going to be like, okay, we're out of food. Mm-hmm. It's going to be like, oh shit, Florida's underwater. Right. Yeah, it's like,
these aren't the crises that the 80s told us about.
Right.
These are like, we didn't think that Facebook could throw an election.
Right. Yeah, it was not the types of the dystopia we have is very original. It's a very original.
The dystopia. Sacred text didn't warn us of this. But kind of going back to that thought about like we, especially as Americans, have been kind of allowed to be complacent when we think of the like pioneers of the future nowadays. They're like not even American.
Right. Yeah.
Like Elon Musk isn't American. He's a citizen, but like, and he's like the number one. The people go like, oh, who's the future? Elon Musk is living in the future right now. Mm-hmm. And then everyone else is like, then it's just the rich. Like, oh, Jeff Bezos, but like we can't count on him to do shit.
Yeah, we don't. Jeff Bezos is an interesting figure because it's like, what is? Yeah, like Elon Musk has kind of triangulated himself into a position where it's like, I am the futurist guy.
Sure.
I am the techno blockchain man. That's what people think about it. Like the types of, Tesla is in a lot of ways indicative of if there was a 2010s version of the future, that was probably what we'd point to, right? That being something of that nature. Now, but like Jeff Bezos, like doesn't seem to really represent, like it's hard to kind of get an idea of what he ideologically represents,
right? Like, or even like Bill Gates as well. Bill Gates, Bill Gates was the future in the 90s,
right?
But like,
and also this seems to be kind of forgotten, but Bill Gates was despised in like the late, or not even the late 90s. It's like all throughout the 90s and in the 2000s because of the way Microsoft was just. It was just. It set a precedent for just how not malicious, it's not the right term, but like how just destructive a company could be, and not in terms of like material destruction, but like there was so much cool shit going on with open source software and like the open source communities that were happening, where all of this this potential through technology just got eaten up by Microsoft and then later on Apple. But like there was so many people that hated Bill Gates and his this like rehabilitation of him in the cultural consciousness is kind of interesting, and it reminds me a little bit of George Bush Jr.'s rehabilitation, where it's like it's, did we really just forget? It wasn't that long ago, like what, like we see him hanging out with Ellen DeGeneres now. It's like, okay, he's a good guy now. Well, he's not as bad as Trump. I'm like, what is that the stand? Like, are we okay with moving the goalposts like this? Like,
we're very easily distracted.
Yeah, we are very easily distracted.
And, a lot of news has happened since then. There's been a president in between him. So it's like we've already forgotten.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
But also, I mean, how old are you? Like, I'm
too old.
I'm 24.
I'm almost 30. So
right.
29.
Like I'm 24, and Bush's presidency didn't affect me as a small child.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't really culturally have an impact on me.
Right.
And so it's easy for our generation, quote unquote, to forget because we weren't really awake then.
Sure, we weren't I mean, anything that we would have absorbed from the socio-political sphere would be through our parents. We're not going to interact. We're not going to be watching CNN or whatever it is.
But I did have a thought from what you were saying, is that it seems like American culture is kind of rooted in worshiping these Ubermensch. And we're running out of Ubermensch, and we're like, wait, who's supposed to save us now?
God, I mean, Friedrich Nietzsche would be rolling in his grave if he could hear us describing Jeff Bezos as an Ubermensch. I don't know. Maybe
I didn't call Jeff Bezos an Ubermensch. But
I know what you're saying.
Steve Jobs and oh, now that Steve Jobs is dead, there's no more greats. Now it's all on Elon Musk. But we're all a part of this thing. To think that there's just going to be, and I mean, which is probably why we worship superheroes now. Is that we do worship this idea of this one person who's going to come in and save us. This Martin Luther King is going to bring us out of the civil rights movement. And but so when one person dies, the whole movement is dead. When if Bernie Sanders has a heart attack and dies, is the whole movement dead?
Right. That's completely, that's a good question. It is, there are, I guess, I don't know if I'm not a historian, but I've often heard there being a dichotomy in describing historical events as being, oh, son of a bitch. The great men theory,
sure.
Where the actions of history are from the autonomous will of individual great leaders and so on and so forth.
But I think that does stem from this American idealism, because I think that if you look at Japanese culture or Chinese culture, which is a very monocultural, us together, a lot of Japanese media is kind of propagandistic in this way, which is we together are the forward of society, not just one person.
And I think that has a lot to do with now I kind of would say though that I think there is a kind of a global attitude that is beginning to resemble each other even in cultures, because I agree there is a more you are the representative of your family, you are the representative of your culture, when you are your success is expected to be brought back and to be to be the success of your where you came from. You know, that is a very Eastern idea, and that on the flip side, you have a Western kind of hyper liberal view, and I'm using liberal referring to
Classical,
liberalism.
yes.
Classical liberalism view of the individual as being a autonomous, will driven person, and that our moral landscape exists as you are entitled to what you can accomplish with your own hands. That's they're not contradictory ideas until they are, but I do think there is, because there's a very interesting study. I'm going to look this up afterward because my phone is about to die.
There's a charger right there. You have an
there
iPhone?
is? Yeah. Excellent.
It's a long cable.
Wow. That is perfectly located right next to me. That's funny.
Which means now you can look it up.
Yeah. So it was basically, the study was which countries have obviously it's going to be sample driven, but which countries have the most optimistic view of capitalism going forward, and Japan was the least critical of capitalism. And that's odd when you think of capitalism as really being the economic embodiment of liberalism. Liberalism really is in some ways a justification for how capitalism operates. It's to say, well, these people got what they got, are able to accumulate what they accumulated because they
were these individuals.
Right. Yeah. They climbed the ladder and bootstraps and all that. But let me see if I can find it real quick. Countries.
I will at least vamp on
the
idea, though, that it's a little ironic also that Japan, who is not creating a new population to replace itself, is also optimistic about capitalism in the future. So it's like, whose future?
Right. Yeah.
Because they don't seem to be looking towards their own individual future.
Yeah.
Because they're not having kids.
Well, we aren't either, to be fair. It's not as big a problem as
right. Well,
it is in Japan, but yeah. That's a whole thing. That is a rabbit hole we could easily just spend a whole lot of time going down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're not having kids because we don't have any money for it. Yang gang UBI, all that nonsense.
We probably need to pivot to Yang at some point, because I really am interested to hear what drew you to Yang. I've got, luckily for me, I have friends that pretty much I've got friends that will pretty much go for any candidate. I don't have any Klobuchar friends.
I don't think any of those exist.
They're older than me.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't think I've seen one in the internet.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen, like, they're just the ones who are watching CNN and we're like, that seems like a fine lady.
Yeah.
I don't get any bad vibes from her. I don't really get any vibes from her, which is exactly what I want.
I think it's probably the crossover of people that are just really, really hungry for a female president, but also are very much of kind of the middle of the path. Kind of Joe Biden-esque, like people that would vote for Joe Biden but really want a female president. And but I also don't know, because really what happens when I try to get people to elaborate their political beliefs all the time is that it's like there doesn't really seem to be as clean I am, like we were talking about the grid. It doesn't seem like people really follow on that very, very neatly. Like I have friends that are very, very, very identity politics driven. And I don't mean that, and that can come off as derogatory. I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, but they're not as invested in things like talking about to them, income disparity is an old topic and they get tired of hearing it, you know. They may not disagree, but it's clearly not a preference or a high, you know, high on their list of preferences. In terms of, and that's, you know, it's like how you know, in my mind, these things clearly are correlated. So so much like that. How could you separate them? But that's my experience, is that people do, and they have a weird amalgamation of different ideas. But yeah, luckily for me, I do have friends of pretty much every kind of liberal or conservative you would imagine. Well, I do not have any very far right friends.
I have some very far right friends.
Yeah, I'm not very. I don't like block people out of my life very often and I don't do it for political reasons almost ever, but I tend to push people away because I am, like, as you know, very vocal about my opinions.
I don't block anyone, but I have been blocked.
Exactly.
Or I have been unfriended.
Exactly.
Because of really just trying to have a conversation, and they did not want to.
And I would be the first to admit I can be an asshole sometimes about that stuff. I get my patience can be tested very quickly when it comes to, like, I don't need to explain to you why X or Y person is marginalized and needs representation. I don't have the patience to do that kind of stuff. You know?
Right.
Yeah. I think I found it here. Let's see here. But sorry. If you don't want to go down that path right now, that's fine, but I would at some point like to.
I'll happily talk about how I fell into the Yang Gang, but I like kind of forgot why you were pulling this up. What was this article? What
we're talking about? That topic kind of came and went. We're talking about Eastern and Western views.
Yes, the optimism towards capitalism.
Yeah.
A lot of ism.
Yeah, I will. You know what? I'll look for this later because I'm not. It's hard for me to multitask right now.
Yeah, no, it's hard to like keep a conversation going while also Googling. So
right, but I'll send it to you. You can look at it if you want.
But yeah, no, I think what happened with me is that. So I kind of jumped in way early on. Like, one of the first podcasts that Yang was on was Sam Harris's podcast, which at the time was called Waking Up and is now Making Sense. And at the time, and I really like Sam Harris. I fell into Sam Harris whenever I became an atheist and like got you know, the early atheism is like very angry and smug. And so like, oh yeah, Richard Dawkins. And now I'm like, Richard Dawkins is kind of an asshole. But
a total dickhead.
But yeah, he's a really smug prick. But we could do this all day, but South Park did it for us. So but like Sam Harris seems to be like the most reasonable of the, like, he really just likes ideas and refining them. And that's like, I love Sam Harris, but he had been talking about universal basic income and kind of been talking to people about like, well, is this, looking at the way that things are going, universal basic income should be an option here. And then lo and behold, Andrew Yang jumps in the podcast. I think it was like 2018, might have been 2017 even. And he's like, yep, I'm running for president for 2020, which I was like, whoa, seems a little early there, dude.
Yeah.
But he was like, and my main thing is universal basic income. But then he used like just straight up data, which of course is refreshing from to hear from anyone involved in politics in the slightest. And so I think the biggest thing is just that, like, he's a technocrat. That word hasn't come up in discussions, I think, regarding Yang, but technocrat is the word for it. He's someone who's using like experts and their data to arrive at decisions and policies so that we can, you know, instead of just going off of ideals and feelings, we can, not that other candidates don't, but like the moral of it, the philosophy of it is to like, here's the information, like information in, information out.
Right.
And so if this is the problem and this is what the data is telling us, then this should be the solution.
Right.
If that, like, why should we do anything else? And so it's a very science driven mentality. And so what it came to with UBI is that, like, it seems like automation is going to be a problem, and it seems like we're going to have to do something about the people who just won't have jobs anymore and will need time to transition and all this stuff. And no, of course, $1,000 a month won't do everything for people, but it'll sure like help a lot.
Yeah.
And that's just been the biggest thing. It's like just a pragmatic, like, we can't fix everything.
Yeah.
That's a lie. No one is coming to be a superhero to save the day.
Right.
But let's do a little something and fix it over time, and then use the information from that and keep moving forward and doing all of the stuff to, like, again, information in, information out.
Right.
And that, like, what makes Yang appeal to me is the willingness to learn and grow, because that's the whole ideal.
Yeah.
And so if there's something that, like, he might have had on his policies a year or so ago, especially as he's growing and taking input from a bunch of different sources, he's like, oh, I see why that position might be crappy, so let me adjust that. And, like, he's just really, like, which is why he has so many policies, because it's like, this seems like a dumb problem that we're still doing for no reason.
Yeah.
The data doesn't support it, so let's get rid of it. He wants to get rid of the penny. And it's like, that seems like a non-issue that he wants to solve, but it's like, millions of dollars that we could just not waste, so let's not. And so it's silly and it's a little funny, but it's like,
well, no,
that ideal of, like, I see a problem, here's data that points to that problem, here's data that points to the solution, let's just do that solution. And no identity politics, no anything of that sort. It's just like, here's what the numbers show.
It's very sterile in that regard.
Yeah.
And that's, I appreciate that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I kind of finished a thought, so go ahead and respond.
Cool. So before I kind of go towards the problems I have with Andrew Yang, I feel like, and addressing what you're saying and what, what kind of, like, aspects of Andrew Yang's campaign really appealed to you. I can easily see the appeal of basically all of what you were describing. That makes sense. I think the race towards the Democratic candidacy is worse off without Andrew Yang. I will say that very confidently. I very much, he and Marianne Williamson and Tom Steyer, who is still in the race, and
somehow same thing with Klobuchar. I've never seen or heard of any Tom Steyer stan, but neither have I. But I don't think those are three candidates I'm happy are in the race because they bring up issues that other candidates do not bring up. And there are issues that I think are important, and I think it's very easy, especially for people that are casual
checkers in on politics, it's very easy for media to set the range of acceptable topics, the Overton window. You know? And for us to kind of, there is a reason that trans rights is just now a thing that gets talked about. It's not. It's because no one talked about it. I mean, it's that simple, know?
Right.
It's no one who had the eyes, that had eyes on them. No one was willing to make that their issue. And in that regard, UBI was a thing that was very possible back in the 60s. I mean, Richard Nixon, of all people, was someone who originally started talking about universal basic income. And it just didn't become a topic of conversation that people championed. And in that regard, Yang has been great. It's great to have someone talking about these types of things. So now we're going to get to the part where I wouldn't jump on board with him. And here is the biggest thing is for me that Andrew Yang, like you said, that he was presented with information with certain topics and he's had to alter his positions, right? I can appreciate that in a given context. But it is also, and once again, what you're having to do, you can't say any of these things conclusively. Like, you can say it's good to see that a candidate who will take in information that is different than what they believe and change their views according to information. But that can also easily be a thing where this is not a popular opinion. I need to change this because I need to maintain popularity. I don't know what it is for Yang. No one does but Yang, you can't know these things. In the same sense that, because this is very reminiscent to a thing that was really issued at Hillary Clinton. She was not a supporter of gay marriage when she was, in her kind of the majority of her political career. Right. It wasn't until her run for presidency where that began to change. That's suspicious. You can't say conclusively what's going on. No one knows but Hillary Clinton. Right. But that is one of the problems that I had with Yang, is that he had his moment. He had the thing that he was passionate about, the UBI thing. And he had a number of other things. But it was what was around the edges that I felt like he either didn't care as much about, didn't think it was as important, or just flat out had some bad opinions about. And those were the types of things that was like, okay, well, Bernie Sanders exists already. Civil rights is as important to me as, and I'm not saying it's not important to Andrew Yang. Once again, I don't know, but like it wasn't expressed in a way that I felt was, his campaign to me didn't do a very good job of expressing his interest in civil rights or his passion of civil rights, if it exists. Bernie Sanders, I can look back towards the 80s. And there are photos of him, getting arrested for being involved with civil rights marches. That to me is consistency, and consistency, especially consistency that aligns with the things that I care about, is, it's a no-brainer for me. Right. And here is for me, the dagger in the heart of the issue is that UBI is a tough cookie. It is a tough cookie. UBI is we have to really be careful with social programs that reallocate funds in a way. We have to be. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining myself here. Let me try to rephrase this. So, UBI is a solution to a problem. The problem here is not, and this is important, not that the economy is doing poorly. The economy is not doing poorly.
Yes.
You know, so so how is it that we need an economic stimulus when the economy is not is doing great? In fact, because there is an income inequality.
Yeah.
Right. Ultimately, the reason this is appealing is because people need more money than they have.
Yeah.
Like, we understand that. Okay. So why is there income inequality? You know, that's the burning question here. Because if you answer that question, you can start to begin to form a method for solving it. Sure. Right. So, you know, Bernie Sanders also is addressing this issue when he's talking about taxing, you know, the millionaires and billionaires. Sure. Everyone's heard him say it. Yes. You know,
he stopped saying millionaires when he became a millionaire. That's a silly thing, but yeah.
I mean,
that's a dumb attack thing, but yeah,
it's sure whatever. Like, as long as he's holding himself to the same standard he's holding everyone else, I don't care.
I'm
if he's
kidding. It's dumb.
I know you are. I guess that was an answer at whoever would actually legitimately throw that question out. But the UBI is going to give. So we know money doesn't come from nowhere, right? So where is the money coming from? Well, Andrew Yang has a very clear plan that he's outlined, and basically what he is suggesting is that we reallocate funds that are already being allocated.
Yes.
Okay. So people opt in, right? They opt into this, and to do that, essentially, if you are already receiving social benefits through a program, that is going to be taken into consideration when you receive what's it? I'm blanking on the name of that. The stimulus.
Freedom dividend.
Freedom dividend. Yeah. That you are essentially trading one for the other. You're saying, I'd rather this be in the form of currency I can use for whatever. Sure. Okay. Here's the problem with this. It doesn't address the problem that we have a system that allows accumulation to an absurd degree. If it's not coupled with a means of leveling the playing field, what it's doing essentially is think of it like a classroom analogy. Okay. All kids have their lunch money. Okay. And they're all going to school, and there are bullies, and I know that people would take issue with this. Just bear with me. I know that they're like, well, actually, but bear with me.
Sure.
There are bullies that are taking the kids' lunch money and leaving them with a little bit left. Okay. And so basically what's happening in this situation is that all the kids that are getting bullied here, they put their money together and then they're spreading it out to make sure that everyone's getting what they need. Okay. But it doesn't deal with the bully problem. My problem with the UBI is that, why is it the social programs? Why is it not taxation on the rich? That is the problem. The problem is this mass accumulation.
Do you know what value-added tax is? Have you heard? Do you know what value-added tax is? Have you heard?
I'm not sure. Explain.
Okay. So, I mean, similar to a sales tax. It's just anytime.
I know what you're talking about.
Anytime a transaction is made, a percentage of that gets added, and then that goes to the government.
Right. I remember this.
And so
in his program.
There would be a VAT tax, VAT, value-added tax on luxury goods. And there, all the criteria of things would determine. And so basically you can get around a wealth tax. There's so many ways that, accounting is just a very refined academic way of avoiding taxes. And so with essentially a sales tax. You can't avoid that because you'd have to just not buy things. As opposed to a wealth tax, which you can find ways of getting around.
Well, I mean,
and every European country has seen that a wealth tax is ineffective for taxing the rich because they get around it. So they've switched to a value-added tax because it actually does take the money from them.
Well, we can get into foreign countries at another time. That's another rabbit hole.
But that's just, again, data in, data out. What works, what doesn't work. Wealth tax doesn't seem to work.
We're talking about that too. Like that's the thing is like these models that are coming out, especially of like the Swedish model, right? Which some people call socialist. The Swedish version of socialism, I guess. I mean, in that case, there's not enough information to say one way or the other at that point because we haven't played that out to its contradictory point, right? The point at which the wealth tax was introduced, there was a massive period of success with regards to that in the Swedish model. So like, we don't know what the future of that is going to be. It's not something that has played itself out. Now, I don't have a problem with a VAT tax if it's coupled with wealth taxation. And here's the thing, is like
that could be an option too. I don't know.
Right. Like, but my problem is the social programs. That to me
I have a really good rebuttal for this.
Okay.
Have you ever been on welfare?
Have I ever been on welfare? No, I have not been on welfare.
Okay. I've never been on welfare. I've known people who have been on welfare. It really sucks.
Oh yeah.
Because you essentially are encouraged to not make more money. Same as being on disability. You're essentially encouraged not to get better.
Right. It's like the precious conundrum.
Yeah. And so welfare actually encourages people to stay down.
Well,
what
do you mean stay down? This is a loaded term here.
Right. Well, stay like below the means that causes someone to qualify for welfare. And a lot of times it's less than $1,000, which is what they're receiving.
Right.
So why would I take food stamps that only work in certain situations and it's only like, let's say $500 a month, whenever I could have $1,000 a month and use it wherever I want?
Why not both? Like that's my rebuttal to that. Why are we looking at this as a problem like
of either or?
Like these are the people that clearly need it the most anyway, Right.
Well, because once you go above that, then you lose.
I mean, you as it stands, but it's not for disability. That's not going to, erase a disability.
The freedom dividend would stack with with SSDI and Social Security as well. So
I'll have to look into. I don't know it. I don't know the freedom dividend back. To such a degree where I can talk about that.
I'm so used to this argument on the internet, so I know it.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't change my mind though. It
is pragmatism because it's like it's really hard to convince people to just give people money because already conservatives are like, why are we giving people money?
That's it. You can't let the opposition set the boundaries for what you
have to in a democracy.
Okay. No, you don't. And that's exactly why Donald Trump exists right now. That is the exact reason that the alt-right came to prominence and has. That's exactly why we have a wall being motherfucking built at the border. No, you don't. What you have to do is not to find compromise. What you have to do is to make your ideas understood and to make them be so strong that they can't be easily, you have to make them popular.
Sure, that's fair.
And so, no, I mean, I resist the idea that, this is a constant game of compromise. Now, once, it does, the thing is with UBI and all of this, like, we're in the beginning of this conversation, we're talking about long-term goals.
And this is a very short term.
Right. What we're trying to do is come up with a solution to this is a solution to income inequality. It's the only thing that it makes sense to be a solution to. It's not a solution to, I mean, it can be an economic stimulus, I guess. And also, I'm sure you ran into this, but the rent control is a big issue as well.
You can't, UBI doesn't count as income. And so you can't, it's like nitty gritty nonsense.
But what do you mean you can't?
Like the freedom dividend wouldn't count as income. And so it doesn't,
but if it's
into
every American's getting it, that they're getting it.
Right.
As someone who is a landlord.
Yeah.
So what's to stop you from raising the prices?
I have a different philosophy from what the Yang cult is saying, but I think that local government should be running that. Rent is very different in different places. Rent in San Francisco is very different from rent in Oklahoma City. Local governments should be.
What's your incentive to do that?
I mean, people voting, but that's a different.
I mean, I'm a Chomsky guy. I think if consent can be manufactured, it will be manufactured. And so in that regard, with rent control, that is, if there is a possibility that states will not,
right.
Won't.
Yeah, it's just that they already doing it federally will not account for the variability in that's the whole reason why states' rights is a thing.
I mean, I think states' rights is a thing because so that racist policies can be passed more easily. That was, in my opinion, the precedent of the increased power of states' rights, especially back in.
Sure. But it is true that states have different things about their different areas that make them different from, again, California is not Oklahoma for various reasons. And their economies are very different and all that nonsense. And I don't like this area of things because it I'm essentially a libertarian pragmatically and I'm a communist ideally. And so it's really annoying to contradict myself.
That's an interesting way of saying that.
Right. But the economies are different in different states. And so everyone has to deal with that. And we should really be championing local politics a lot more than we already are.
Yeah. Well, we should be involved with local politics. And I guess that would involve championing. I am skeptical to the degree with which I think you need to there's a term that is called dual power, and I'm not going to get into that because it's really sticky really quickly in terms of, especially with the associations it has with Leninism and things like that. And I'm not trying to get on here and espouse Leninism. I'm not here to try and do that.
Tired of tankies.
Tankies, yeah. What I am going to say though is that the concept of dual power is important, and the idea of having when you're talking about building a different kind of society, a different kind of world, having a parallel structure, a structure that starts to emerge that provides the types of things that the ruling power provides, and kind of going against that is how people have described how revolutions can get a foothold. Now, I'm not going down that path any more than just a basic description. But what I think the important takeaway, the important takeaway I'm getting here is that, with local politics and with democracy as it currently exists in the United States, going back to the 60s is such a great example for almost all the stuff we've been talking about, because you see so much progressive legislation come out of the 60s. So much out of both the administrations of Nixon, but also Johnson. And you also see this in parallel with intense social pressure. You see not only the Cultural Revolution, but the civil rights. The civil rights movement coming out of that. You see the Black Panthers, and it's very easy to talk about, once again, going back to like great man theory, to say, well, these are the policies of Johnson, these are the policies of Nixon. But really,
they were shaped by the revolutions of the time.
It's social pressure. There's no denying it, in the same sense that the New Deal comes out with at the same time that labor movement has reached its peak in the United States, and these things are very easy to see correlations, So we should be thinking not only about how do we, everyone of course should vote, and everyone should be a part of even local, but like local government. But
the phrase, think globally, act locally.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
whatever inversion of that phrase that is.
Yeah. That's of course I would say important. But it has, in my mind, be coupled with, we need right now in America the protest culture that exists in France. We need that parallel power, dual power, right? That this threat that, listen, if you don't take care of things, we're going to take care of it ourselves.
Sure.
And that is the type of thing those types of situations is when you see the greatest amount of progress passed.
No, I agree with that. Last point on UBI, and we should wind down the. I think that for very valid criticism of like Yang didn't talk enough about like social issues and like UBI on a very direct level, like acknowledges those social issues by providing an economic out. And so like women in abusive relationships don't have the means to leave that abusive relationship. If they have $1,000 a month, they can. For
ignoring cultural pressures or cultural, cultural hegemonic aspects, then yes. But I see what you're getting at. I don't want to.
Right. Trans kid gets kicked out of their house, and like the similar, like lots of stuff can be faced with like, of course it doesn't solve everything, but it nudges us in the right direction. And like $1,000 a month would change my life. It would change a lot of people's life for the better. It would make it would take the boot off our necks, or whatever the phrase is used, so that we can actually do something about these problems. Rather than just like struggling from paycheck to paycheck. And that's the main incentive, I think.
Right.
And so all of the milieu that comes amongst like, well, you're not talking about trans rights, you're not talking about women's rights, you're not talking about black people's rights, and it's like all of like the thing about it is that it's universal and it helps everyone in all of these ways.
I mean, so yeah, I obviously agree that these are all economic issues, and I don't want to essentialize them because I don't think we can.
No, it's more complex than just economic issues, obviously.
Right. It's messy. And I think we can both agree with that. It's messy. But there's no doubt a correlation between economics and social issues. They are intertwined at the hip. And I, of course, agree with that. And those are criticisms that could easily be tossed at Bernie Sanders. And I think... Sometimes it's fair, to be honest. I think the
federal jobs guarantee is dystopian looking, in my opinion, and I'd rather he replace it with UBI. And if I could vote, I wouldn't vote for Bernie Sanders if he didn't have UBI.
Well, I don't think he is going to champion UBI. I don't know.
Well, because like his opponent was Yang, and so he had to like say something bad about UBI, even though he supported UBI in the past.
Yeah, well, okay. I mean, UBI is not my issue, and in the sense that I still am not. The things that you're bringing up are fair. I like the fact that you're talking about the VAT tax in terms of the European parallel. I think it's always tough when you're talking, and this is I'm getting too close to a conservative talking point here, but I think it's very tough when you're talking about two different types of countries. What works for one country isn't going to necessarily work, but that's also not me saying that it wouldn't work.
There's a separate conversation about just like, why do you need to stray away from conservative talking points if they're just like valid talking points?
Sure. Well, yeah. Well, what I mean by that is like, I don't want to have to justify why we need to take care of our citizens here. Like why we need to try and find some kind of model where people can get the healthcare that they need, where people can get the services that they need. I get tired of having to, with conservatives, justify why that's an important issue. So, when conservatives go to, Sweden is a homogenous culturally,
right. Yeah.
Whatever, smaller country, that's why it works. It's like, well, oh God, it's just I'm the reason I don't want to stray towards that argument is because I'm tired of having that argument. I don't want to have to do that with anyone else either. Yeah. But no, you're right. If it's a valid argument, it's a valid argument. But with UBI, I mean, I don't think we're going to see eye to eye here, and that's fine. We know that. We probably knew that going into this. But I think that UBI, in my mind, for me to ever support it, would have to actively level the playing field. And I don't see that, especially when a lot of what exists as wealth for wealthy people exists as speculation of wealth. And that, yes, buying power is part of being wealthy, but a lot of what being wealthy is also is that you are perceived as wealthy.
Right.
Like there is a whole thing. This is a great story. We can talk about privately some other time, but
yeah, of course. And Donald Trump is like definitely millions in the hole, but he's perceived as wealthy.
Right.
So like,
yes.
Probably billions.
There are plenty of companies that exist that get funding or say, if you do this, I mean, I'm not explaining anything new to anyone who has had a business class, but there are plenty of businesses that say, this is what we're asking for.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we are going to commit this much. Nothing has been there's no transactions made, but then they go to the next investor and they say
money's a lie.
Right. They said, yeah, exactly. They said this amount of money has been invested or has been committed. What, can we get you to commit? And then all of a sudden you've got a multi-billion-dollar company that doesn't have any money whatsoever.
Yeah.
This is
and shell corporations and umbrella corporations.
Right.
And all that
Exactly. A lot of money doesn't exist only as money that is spent or money like it is money that is. It's invisible.
Hypothetical.
Yeah, hypothetical. Yeah. And so, this is an important distinction. And I just think what's kind of strange is as much as I get onto other Democrats for being too honed in on symbolic victories, there is something to be said for how I would have been more interested in Yang if he had been more visibly aggressive towards the ruling class. That he used language that that was meant to be, and that's not. And I don't want you to get the impression that that's why I vote for Bernie Sanders. Once again, I would vote for. I would vote for Yang in a heartbeat if it was moved what I consider to be closer toward what I believe are the correct solutions.
I think that probably what the greater philosophy of it is that it was more like, let's not focus on what divides us and let's just raise everyone up. And it's hard to it's hard to talk about here's things for every American and not you. I think because politics has gotten and I'm tired of the us them dichotomy all the time, even if it is the worst of the worst, them, even if it is the worst of the worst. I'm just tired of I know we're all human beings. I know we're all one thing. If you listen to the podcast where I was interviewed by Mac, I think that the universe can be where the galaxy will move as the same way that we move our arm. And that's a unification that I idealize in a weird philosophical, spiritual way.
Right.
And the more that we get focused on these stupid little, I'm brown and you're not, that's a problem. Is so annoying and useless to me.
And of course I agree with that. I just don't agree when it comes to income inequality. And I don't agree when it comes to power differentials, yeah, of course I agree. Well, even then, I of course would never say we should not get along because we're of different cultural backgrounds,
right. We're essentially the same.
I know it's an example, but I also think we need to be aware, there is, it's not, civility is not an unambiguously good thing,
Yeah. And so, I'm not talking about we have to be civil, but it's just can we just make everyone better without having to push someone down?
I mean, I think you can. I don't think you can as it stands right now. I think in a vacuum, yes, I agree.
Well, right. Well, and that's the thing. It's what is making the rich, worse?
Right.
The whole how much wealth is actually necessary wealth, and you can take a chunk off of that and they won't actually see a difference. Right. So it's you're not actually pushing them down, but it's a necessary thing that you need to take away. And
well, they're not going to view it that way,
right? No, I know, and that's a whole thing. But it's broad language, because in the end, you can just say we're making things better. And I think that the ideal of having the dual power thing to where the people are able to actually rise up, I don't think that with as poor as we are, we're able to even consider doing that.
Right.
like me or someone else couldn't skip work to like go to a protest. Couldn't skip work to go vote. Couldn't skip like, cause that 1 hour of
it's like rolling the dice. Yeah.
And so like, that's why UBI is the most important thing on my list, because it contributes to everything else. It like, you can't have people protesting in the streets if they miss a day of work and it means missing a meal.
Well, I mean, Bernie Sanders addresses this too, you know. I mean,
he doesn't have UBI.
It's not UBI, but it is, you know, he's been a champion of increasing the minimum wage. And the minimum, that's not a small thing.
Right. You know? But like, if you are homeless or if you're disabled, you can't work anyways. If you like are a stay-at-home mom, you can't work anyways. Yeah. Those people aren't going to see a difference in a minimum wage increase. If you already make above $15 an hour and you are still struggling, $15 minimum wage increase isn't going to do anything for you. So like all of these things are just in the zeitgeist of the Yang cult.
Yes, but Medicare for all let me try that again. Medicare for all will, you know, that is,
and Yang also supports universal healthcare.
Well, it's not the same, but
in the same way that you said that there's a path to the thing that Bernie has, so does Yang. It's a whole, but it's a big misconception about it, and it's annoying.
Okay. Once again, I'm not I don't have encyclopedic knowledge over all the candidates. I think at this point, you know, we're talking about the difference between two candidates. And, you know, I do hope the language of Yang gets, because, I mean, Yang's candidacy is over at this point for 2020.
For 2020.
And the best thing that I think could come out of this is that people are forced now to deal in this election cycle. Of course, I'm still confining it to this. People are forced to deal with the ideas that he brought in. And once again, I am a fan of that. I think we need an infrastructural change. And I know that you see Yang as providing that infrastructural change. I do not.
Right.
I see Bernie Sanders as being far more because it's not just the income, it's also healthcare. It's also and once again, it's a moot point. You know,
you're right.
We can't rewind the clock with that. So I think my position now would be, you know, the compromise I would extend to Yang supporters as being, and fuck me, I do not want to be the ambassador for the Bernie Sanders party. I do not like echo chambers at all.
Yeah.
You know, I try my best not to be a part of those things.
God help the person who wants to be the ambassador for the Bernie Sanders.
No, well, yeah, for any group, but no. I mean, Bernie Sanders supporters can be unbelievably annoying. I would be the first person to tell you to say that. But I think, you know, playing ambassador here for a second. God. I would say the thing I would extend, the olive branch I would extend to the Yang supporters here is, if there is a candidate that is going to take your ideas into consideration, who do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be Joe Biden? I don't. No, I think you're very unlikely. Do you think it's going to be? I mean, Pete Buttigieg, maybe, but I don't know what the hell that guy stands for.
No, he's in the pocket of all the billionaires. Right. We all know this.
Yeah, he's. I mean.
Those
I'm being generous
flips, man.
here.
The coin flips.
The coin flips, yeah.
Oh, God.
Right, yeah. Yeah. You know, what I would say is, if anyone is going to have to reconcile the language that Yang used, the ideas that he espoused, Bernie Sanders is going to be the candidate to do that.
Yeah.
And so I would say continue fighting for what you think is right. Continue fighting for what you think is going to work. Ultimately, I'm not going to say this for every Bernie Sanders to every Yang supporter, but at least you and I can say we have similar models for what a good lasting future will look like.
Exactly.
And so we disagree on how to get there.
Right.
But, at the very beginning of this, there's been so much literature written about how do we get there. No one really agrees. So my advice to the Yang gangers is you don't have to sacrifice your ideals. You don't I'm not asking you to compromise in terms of fighting for what you believe, but I'm saying Yang's candidacy is over now. If you want these ideas pushed, the best opportunity for you to make your voice heard is in a candidate that is has the most overlap. And I believe that's Bernie Sanders.
Right. So. Well, thank you, Bernie Sanders, for being on my podcast.
The millionaires and the billionaires, they'll get what's coming to them. We're going to California. We're going to
pull them out of their houses. We're going to cut their heads off. We're going to
bring out the guillotines.
What I will say at least is that like so many Yang people were previous Bernie supporters, but also a lot of them were previous Trump supporters. And so there's not like,
That's
it's not
baffling to me, but
because again, it's the libertarian, like middle ground ish. He's not entirely libertarian, but like he appeals to the libertarian ideal. And so like,
somehow, I mean, UBI doesn't seem like a terribly libertarian thing. It seems like a lot of government goings on.
Would you rather have the government tell you where you can and can't spend your money and how much money you're allowed to make before we give you money, or would you rather just get money?
I mean, it seems like the purely libertarian thing would be that
pull yourself up by your
exactly that you wouldn't have either of those things.
Yeah, but like a poor libertarian is like, I'll take $1,000 shit.
I mean, anyone would take
exactly. That's the point. All of that to say, we also talked about like broader philosophical things about society and all that stuff. So like, sorry about the like essentially an hour of just talking about Yang, but yeah,
that's cool.
We needed to do a postmortem for me at least. But honestly, for my sake, it's been really toxic from Bernie supporters, and so I'm just gonna like peace out. I can't vote anyways, so like for my sake, I'm just peacing out of this election cycle. And to be kind of pessimistic about it, I don't think Bernie Sanders is going to beat Donald Trump. He doesn't have enough bipartisan support. But like, please vote.
Well, are you not going to vote?
I can't vote. I'm not a citizen.
Oh, I'm fucking dumb. Of course. That's a duh moment. Sorry about that. Yeah.
But I mean, I'll encourage my wife to vote for who she wants to vote for.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows? I don't know. Like, I think he will. I think he'll beat him. And if he doesn't, then I'll move on. I think everyone, whoever you want to vote for, or whatever candidate you're going to go for, you need to recognize you do not know these people. This is a parasocial relationship you're developing. It took me a very long time with Obama to really, because I was a big old Democrat liberal guy, when Obama was president. It took me a long time to be able to criticize him and kind of come to the realization he was not the kind of president I actually wanted him to be. That's a pitfall. We have a culture of creating narratives for famous people, creating narratives for culturally influential people. And, as soon as, President Bernie Sanders, kills the equivalent of Soleimani or someone, like that, that's it. I'm not going to support that anymore. And and I wouldn't advocate for anyone to do that. Once again, when I say that I don't want to be the ambassador for Bernie Sanders, I really mean that. I'm not a big fan of American politics in general, in the sense that America has a lot to account for. America has a lot of baggage, and I just hope that we can get to a point where Bernie Sanders is considered, the positions that he holds is considered to be more normal. Middle of the line. Yeah. More normalized.
Right.
So we don't have to say, I would love it if we could say like, oh, you have this candidate you like, and I have this candidate I like, but and there not be that big, or that
right.
where the consequences aren't so unbelievably dire. You know?
Yeah. And there's also ranked choice voting, which is a thing that was also one of Yang's policies, but like that's plug your stuff. We're both musicians. We didn't talk about music at all.
Oh, plug my stuff. I don't have any stuff. No, that's not true. I will be, I'm still working with the Sweet Talkers, and they are a bunch of really talented, guys, and, they will be playing Norman Music Fest. It's going to be really awesome.
Yeah.
I will.
Have you gotten been told where you're playing at?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't received anything either, and so I'm I saw some people posting about when or where they were playing for Norman Music Fest. I'm like, they haven't even announced all the bands yet. What's going on?
Well, it's always like a piecemeal, how that kind of stuff comes out. But
anyways, go see all the bands at Norman Music Fest.
Yeah.
But if you want to see Dylan,
that's where I'll be. So that's as much of a plug as I can give myself, I think. So
nothing's better than two musicians talking about fixing the world, because we're definitely going to be the ones to do that. Thank you for doing this with me. I'm Santiago Ramones.
Dylan Walling.
You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. I make music. I don't know if it's too early to say this gig that I've booked, but I'm doing a Saints sessions in May, so that'll be fun.
I love Saints.
Yeah. And I'm arranging a whole jazz set, so
nice. That's awesome.
That's a whole daunting ordeal, but it's really far off, but I'm also really excited about it. So that's why I'm talking about it. Awesome. And of course, Power Cycle has an album out called Too Many Damn Cables. You can stream it everywhere. We were featured on the Uncovering Oklahoma, the Monday Music Discovery. So thank you, Dennis Spielman. And listen to that, stream it, put it on in the background while you work out or something. It's good background music, gets you pumped or relaxed or whatever the feelings transition into at that moment, because it's a lot. I always end my podcast with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong.